no, this part is not alleged. Jay-Z and his team, they have been ducking and dodging, taking the DNA test.
This is what I look for. When I see a success, I'm looking for anything
to say that they didn't do it on their own?
Detain it. Not to say
that's not a good.
We all knew the claims, the whispered stories, the lawsuits that threatened to pop Jay-Z's billion-dollar balloon, but now, it's not just Rymir Carter's word against a carefully lawyered empire. It's the so-called family albums, newly unleashed and loaded like a tabloid shotgun, each page threatening to blow open everything Jay-Z spent decades trying to keep sealed. This isn't a minor leak. This is the forbidden gallery. We're looking at the photos Jay-Z never wanted the world to see, a series of images and notes that, if even half of what Rymir claims is true, could send Team Carter scrambling for the world's largest rug to sweep it all under. For years, Jay-Z's playbook was to ignore, outspend, and outlast. But what do you do when your accuser dumps your entire unofficial family photo album on the internet, with side-by-side shots that practically scream, look at the jawline, the nose, the eyes. What else do you need?
I don't have no felonies. I'm not crazy and none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And it seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that, you could have just got taken care of.
The stakes aren't just high, they're historic. Rymir isn't some faceless tabloid grifter looking for a payout. He's framed himself as the last honest voice in a room full of bot silence. In these so-called family albums, we're seeing more than a handful of blurry snapshots. We're looking at a visual timeline complete with handwritten notes from his late mother Wanda, date-stamped letters, even what he claims are court documents that have never seen the light of day. There's that infamous photograph, young Rymir at a family cookout, the exact age when Jay-Z was living out his Marcy Project's legend, and somehow the resemblance jumps off the page harder than Jay's first platinum plaque. Are we supposed to believe this is all a coincidence? Or is this the visual proof that will finally force Jay-Z to drop the denials and step into the light? What makes these new revelations explosive isn't just the supposed physical evidence. It's the timeline, meticulously laid out by Rymir and his legal team, that refuses to fit inside Jay's carefully edited biography. According to Rymir, these aren't just candid photos, they're smoking guns, direct contradictions to everything the mogul's lawyers have said in court. There's a letter, for instance, that Rymir claims his mother wrote during the early 90s, describing in detail her brief but life-altering connection with a young Sean Carter. It's got addresses, dates, even slang that screams early 90s New York, making it a tough document to simply wave away. The legal filings might call it harassment, but anyone with eyes can see why Jay-Z's team is calling for more time and tighter seals. If even one line in these family albums holds up, the house of cards starts to wobble.
Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
Of course, no modern legend is complete without the presence of a queen, and here the shadows start to twist. The rumors that Beyonce herself has been pulling invisible strings, quietly making sure Rymir and other claimants remain exiled from any mainstream conversation, are gaining new life. Industry insiders have whispered for years that Mrs. Carter is nobody's fool, that her public face of empowerment and unity doesn't extend to anyone threatening her family's storebook image. Multiple music veterans insist they've seen NDAS float through the mail like confetti at a Rock Nation brunch, all with the same intent. Silence first, ask questions never. Rymir's latest batch of leaks tease, without outright naming, that Beyonce's power reaches further than anyone dares admit, that the world's most famous couple is a full partnership, on stage and off when it comes to managing the fallout from Jay-Z's private escapades. Is it paranoia or just good business sense? The silence from their camp grows heavier by the day, and the longer it lasts, the more it feels like there's something real they're hiding.
Well, basically, my mom was at a show, and she was with a friend, and I guess her and her friend stayed to, after the show, he was doing little signings and little autographs and stuff like that. I guess he wasn't too big, but I guess females, when the show is over, you can sign little autographs and stuff like that, talk to the people who perform. She said she went up there.
Now, just as the world was bracing for yet another round of he said, Rymir lands a final punch. This saga isn't just about him. He's painting a portrait of a pattern, not a one-off. Enter Letitia Macer, the Maryland woman who's spent years insisting she's the rapper's secret firstborn, dropping her own DNA proof, and turning up on Instagram to claim that Jay-Z not only knows about her, but actively pays to keep her quiet. Former friends of the mogul have even whispered that Jay-Z's got a house in Cambridge set aside for Macer. Bills paid, but with one very strict rule. Not a single photo of him is allowed on the premises. The deal is simple, they say. Stay quiet, enjoy the support, and never, ever tell your story on the record. Is this the price of peace in the Carter universe, or just another desperate attempt to buy silence when the lawyers fail?
And I'm not saying allegedly.
Oh.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
What makes this rumor different is how much of it checks out, or at least how much of it refuses to go away year after year. Macer's own sister went public with the backstory, bluntly describing how she introduced Jay-Z to Letitia's mother, then watched the fallout as the family tried in vain to reach him at Rockefeller headquarters when the pregnancy news hit. There's no way he can deny anything, Macer insists, especially when there were people there that knew him. The more these stories stack up, the more Jay-Z's silence starts to look less like caution and more like calculated evasion. Even court records seem to dance around the core issue: property records, mysterious payments, sealed files, all lining up just out of reach. If these claims are frivolous, as Jay-Z's legal team insists, why is there always another chapter, another check, another woman in the shadows? This is where the so-called family albums turned from simple photo dumps to cultural dynamite. Because Rymir's not just fighting for himself anymore. He's drawing a straight line between every silence claimant, every unanswered letter, every piece of evidence that got filed away under confidential and never saw the light. He's asking the questions the mainstream press won't. How many deals have really been struck behind closed doors? How many people have been paid just to disappear to keep the Carter name unsmudged? And above all, if all of this is fantasy, if every claim is just another tabloid headline, why is Jay-Z still running from a simple test that would settle the whole thing in less time than it takes to film a Rock Nation brunch selfie?
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce.
But the tension here isn't just in the evidence. It's in the way the entire Carter machine seems designed to steamroll, silence, and survive any scandal, no matter how ugly. For every court order, there's an appeal. For every demand for a DNA test, there's a sudden legal technicality. Public records disappear, lawyers misspeak about property ownership, and guardians like Stralili Coily are painted as serial harassers. Never mind that all they want is clarity and recognition for a young man whose mother passed away trying to make her voice heard. The Carter legal team, with all its resources and reach, keeps the process dragging, waiting for claimants to run out of money, out of time, out of hope. But as Rymir's camp points out, if Jay-Z is so sure, what's he really afraid of?
Jay-Z got his ass whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You got his ass. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your ass whooped.
And now, with these family albums out in the open, the public is left wondering whether the Carter empire is built on genius or on a string of sealed files and checks signed in the dark. The question isn't just about parentage anymore. It's about power, about who gets to shape the narrative and who gets thrown out of the story entirely. Every new detail drags Beyonce's name a little deeper into the shadows, forcing even her most loyal fans to ask, has she been quietly burying the past to protect the present? Or is she just another bystander in the long, strange battle between truth and billion-dollar image control? The silence is growing, the evidence is stacking up, and suddenly, the story of Rymir Carter isn't just about one young man with a box of photos. It's about a much bigger story, one Jay-Z hoped would never see daylight. What we're looking at now isn't a single scandal. It's a sprawling web, the kind of legacy crisis that has tripped up titans before, but never with stakes this high or cameras this close. The family albums are more than a digital grenade. They're a trigger for every unspoken accusation that's ever hovered over Jay-Z's personal life. A mirror for the stories so many others have tried to tell. Suddenly, Rymir Carter is just the latest in a parade of voices claiming that the Carter brand was built not just on talent and vision, but on aggressive denial and a bottomless legal budget. If we look closer, it's almost as if every thread in Jay-Z's past is starting to fray at once, and no amount of damage control can keep the pattern hidden.
Never got anything, so why wouldn't I believe my mom? Like, we could have been settled this, and it only takes a conversation and some words, I'm not a hateful guy. I don't hate anyone. I'm not after nobody. I'm not trying to see no one downfall, but this is just some things that just went through court, and they just expected me to just sit there and just take what they were saying. I can't do that, because
we can't ignore the cold facts. For years, paternity claims have haunted the Carter orbit like storm clouds that never quite break. Rymir in New Jersey, Latesha in Maryland, the stories rhyme with each other. Young women, often teenagers, swept up in brief encounters with an ambitious artist on the rise. Then, the same fallout, a mother goes public, a son or daughter seeks answers, and out comes the heavy artillery. Suddenly, the narrative flips. Plaintiffs become harassers, legal filings accuse them of decades-long campaigns, and the machine grinds into action to discredit, delay, and dismiss. The alleged pattern is impossible to miss. It's always a photo, a note, a timeline that just doesn't add up, and always the demand for a DNA test that never materializes. Is this all just coincidence or a playbook perfected by experience?
I don't think they are scared of him. I think they more so, they don't want him to embarrass their reputation and things that they've been known for. You understand?
We have to admit the emotional cost here is brutal. We see Rymir's weary determination, Latasha's frustrated Instagram posts, and the broken trail of families who say they were left to pick up the pieces while lawyers handled the cleanup. There's no denying the toll. Both Rymir and Latasha have gone public, not with lurid tabloid demands for fortune, but with exhausted pleas for honesty. I don't want money or anything like that from Jay-Z. I just want him to finally tell the truth to the world, Rymir said. And it's hard not to sense the fatigue behind the words. For every denied request, every sealed document, every unexplained payment, there's another chapter of disappointment, another person left asking, if you're so sure, why not just take the test? That question echoes now louder than ever.
How do you know I'm not a gangster? Or used to be a gangster? I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, the industry's filled with gangsters.
For Rymir and Latesha, the struggle has never just been about a name on a birth certificate or a dollar figure on a legal document. It's a grinding, daily battle against the loneliness that comes from being dismissed, not just by a powerful father figure, but by an entire public, trained to see them as hustlers or attention seekers. Every time their story is shut down by a legal technicality or buried by headlines about more glamorous parts of the Carter Empire, a little more hope gets chipped away. Imagine growing up knowing your mother's truth, seeing your own face reflected in the world's biggest superstar, and yet being told again and again that your existence is a problem to be solved, not a story to be heard. That kind of emotional isolation lingers far longer than any tabloid cycle. The human cost stretches beyond the headlines. For those on the outside, it's easy to forget what it means to be branded a liar in a world where the person you're confronting can buy the silence of entire teams. Rymir's battle has meant sacrificing normalcy, struggling with identity, pushing against years of doubt, and enduring the relentless pressure of a public eye that rarely shows compassion. Latesha's posts about her mother's declining health reveal how grief mixes with anger, watching a parent suffer burdened by secrets while the world celebrates the man she believes is her father. It's a kind of grief that comes with no clean ending, just an endless, gnawing absence where answers should be. What's often lost in the noise is the strength it takes to keep fighting. Most people would have folded years ago, bowed out in the face of lawsuits, online mockery, and doors slammed shut by expensive attorneys. But these stories don't vanish. They transform into a kind of resilience, a determination to be seen and heard, even when the cost is more pain, more scrutiny, more sleepless nights. Every court filing and every public statement is a form of protest, a refusal to be erased no matter how high the wall of denial. It's a lonely place to stand, but it's also proof that the human spirit outlasts even the most polished public images.
This is not just about me. If I gotta fight for all of us, I will, but I won't let the court systems just walk over me. I won't let Jay-Z, I won't let no one just walk over me and tell me something because y'all just saying this. I want the truth. And if we can't go to the Supreme Courts, the regular courts, to find out the truth, what are they here for?
Yeah, all right, we'll get to the legal things that you've been through, the battles. But before that,
as viewers, we're left to ask ourselves whether we would have that kind of courage in the same situation. The emotional fallout of being silenced by power isn't just a private agony. It's a warning about what happens when wealth and influence are allowed to dictate which stories matter. Behind the legal jargon and the redacted documents, there are real people carrying the scars of being made invisible. If we're truly watching a reckoning unfold, it's because the people at the center of this storm refused to stay quiet, even when the world told them it was easier, safer, and more convenient for everyone else if they simply disappeared. This is where things start to get even murkier, because as the walls shake, the silence from Beyonce grows only more deafening. For years, she has mastered the art of saying nothing, a skill that, for most, might look like dignity, but in this context has started to look like complicity. She stands as the silent queen, her image unblemished while rumors swirl beneath her throne. 3 industry insiders have quietly told us the same thing. Beyonce's refusal to address these swirling allegations is no accident, it's strategy. In a world where even a stray rumor can tank a brand overnight, her silence is more powerful than any denial.
And I have to still say allegedly, has done things and allegedly participated in a lot of things that the public would not be happy to know.
The result? A public more suspicious than ever. Every time a story about Rymir or Latesha emerges, fans flock to Beyonce's social media, searching for any sign, any cryptic lyric, any subtle gesture, that she's aware, that she cares, that she might break the silence. But she never does. Not a word, not a line, nothing. Is this the cool composure of an icon, or the last defense of someone who knows too much? It's a question that stings because it feels bigger than celebrity. It's about power, about who gets to decide what's real and what gets erased. Are we watching a love story, a partnership of equals, or the world's most high-stakes cover-up? We can't help but notice how the Carter camp has perfected the art of disappearance. Stories vanish, critics are out-lawyered, and those who speak up often fade from view, until someone like Rymir refuses to go quietly. Even Latesha's allegations of hush money, a house in Maryland, and rules against family photos hang in the air with the stubborn persistence of a bad smell. Jay-Z's team might call it frivolous, but it's starting to look more like a pattern too consistent to ignore. When one accuser pops up, it's a scandal. When it happens over and over, it starts to feel like procedure.
Now, he, of course, is more than annoyed, would be an understatement.
Yeah.
He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because rape in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down, raped her.
At the same time, we can't ignore how this story connects to a larger culture of secrecy among the elite. Every powerful figure in music has skeletons, but the Carter blueprint, deny, delay, pay, erase, seems especially refined. Rymir's family albums are a direct challenge to that model, a reminder that not everyone can be bought, and not every secret stays buried. The stakes aren't just personal for the alleged illegitimate children, they're existential for Jay-Z and Beyonce's carefully crafted legacy. After all, the world has watched Jay-Z champion justice, call out inequality, and sell himself as a role model, but now, the question is getting harder to avoid. If even half of these claims are true, what does it mean when the voice of truth and justice won't face the truth at home? The risk for Beyonce is real too. As more details emerge, the conversation is shifting. No longer just about Jay-Z's private affairs, it's about the woman beside him and the image she's maintained. Does she know the full story, or has she chosen not to ask? Is her legendary silence just the armor she needs to survive in an industry built on denial? Or is it something darker? A calculated shield to protect what they've built together, no matter the cost. For all the talk of empowerment, sisterhood, and breaking the silence, this is a chapter Beyonce probably hoped would never reach the stage.
He took them to some apartment building, and you know, they did what they did in there. You know, talked a little bit, had a good time, party, and I guess I can't fully talk as my mom because I'm not my mom. I'm just telling you guys what she told me. It was this, and I honestly just believe it. You know, it's just no doubt in my mind.
It's hard not to notice how every new leak in the Carter saga triggers another surge of conspiracy. The timing of legal filings, the sudden attacks on credibility, the stories of phone calls cut short and court dates postponed, all of it adds to the sense that something is being tightly managed behind the scenes. Some say it's just good business. Others whisper that it's the mark of a family that will do anything to keep the past in the past. And in the absence of clear answers, rumor always rushes to fill the silence. The family albums don't just raise questions about parentage, they force us to ask how much longer the truth can be bent before it finally snaps. So where does this leave us? For the first time, the evidence is out in the open, and the world is watching. Rymir's campaign has already lasted longer than most celebrity marriages. The photos, the timelines, the haunting echoes in every face, none of it is going away. The courts might drag their feet, the lawyers might sharpen their knives, but something has shifted. The Carter dynasty, once untouchable, now looks vulnerable. And whether or not Jay-Z ever agrees to a DNA test, the public is left to decide for themselves. The real cliffhanger is this: will these family albums finally force Jay-Z to step into the light, take the test, and face the world's judgment, or will his team find new ways to bury the story and outlast the latest wave of outrage? How long can Beyonce keep her crown untarnished while the rumors circle, and how many more voices will come forward before the dam truly breaks?
I was a kid and I honestly didn't know what she was talking about. But I did hear her, as I got older, 7, 8, 9, 10, she continued with the same story. My mom wasn't crazy. She gave us everything. She would give if she said give your life up for your kids right now, it wouldn't take a second for her to give her life up. She was just a lovely person. Like everyone who knew my mom.
So now, it's your turn. Is this the collapse of Jay-Z's legendary reign, or just another scandal the Carters will sweep under their platinum rug? Drop your thoughts below, because if we've learned one thing from these family albums, it's that the story is far from over. Stay sharp, stay curious, and until next time, keep your eyes on the shadows, because in this empire, the secrets always have another chapter.